Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is a true testament of perseverance and resilience and courage and hope. And I'm
Yes,
talking about Alison Sorley, who is not only a survivor of metastatic breast cancer, now 6 years.
6 years in September. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but also just a great example of what it means to persevere. And so important that today is Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day.
Absolutely. I mean, Medivivor is the movement because more and more people are being diagnosed every day.
Well, so let's go to that day when you found out something was wrong, or what made you think something might be wrong.
So I always got a spray tan. Every 2 weeks, I was religious about always having a little bit of a glow. I always said I wanted a healthy glow. And I was scrubbing for a spray tan, and I felt a lump in my breast. It
Mhm.
just felt different. It kind of referred, I felt like it was back to that 90210 episode, if you remember, with Brenda, the character, and she was like, I felt something like a gumball. Well, it felt like chewed up gum. It was a
Really?
really weird feeling.
Hmm.
And of course, I lost my cookies and I called, and my mom didn't answer. And so I called my best friend Carmen and I said, I found something. And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. So, of course, that was on like a Saturday. So you have to wait till Monday. So I called the doctor and he couldn't get me in right away. His physician's assistant did. And she was really thinking it was a cyst. But you have to, wait a period to get in for a mammogram ultrasound because I was not 40.
Yeah.
Insurance wasn't encouraging it, they weren't covering it. And I was
Mm.
actually in the middle of building a new business, and I was opening a booth at Saronia. I had left the findery and I decided I was going to go into nonprofit full time. So I was interviewing with Barbara Wright at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children.
Hmm.
And I had told her up front, she goes, I'll never forget, July 22nd is when she hired me. And she goes, your insurance starts August 1st. And I said, what? Because I was, very concerned with that $500. It was going to be $500 for me to have a mammogram and ultrasound
Right.
without having the coverage with insurance. And so I was able to go on a dream trip with my sister. We had planned to go to Jamaica, and I feel like that was a God thing because we got to extend it an extra day. We got to upgrade to first class for a
Wow.
really good deal. We had a beautiful resort, just had a great time.
Hmm.
And we had gone for her birthday, and I came back and I knew I was going to be having the mammogram and ultrasound that following Friday. And I came back, and it was the last appointment of the day at the Hillcrest Breast Center. And the ultrasound technician was doing the ultrasound, and she goes, I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look good. And she goes, hold on. And I said, I just start crying. And I go,
What?
what's going on? And she goes, I've got to run real quick. So she bolted down the hall getting the radiologist because that was the last appointment of the day. If she
Hmm.
did not catch him, I wouldn't have had the results till many days later.
Right.
So she came back and he goes, we're going to have to do a needle point biopsy. It was 3 points, very, very painful.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and that checks for, markers and things like that. And that Tuesday, so that whole weekend, my family came in and we just hung out and had fun because you're just really sore and you're tense and it's something. We knew.
Yeah.
She
Her
goes, I'm not going
reaction
to lie.
was
Oh, I
right.
know. When she goes, I mean, I said, can I
Mm.
have my mom? Because my mom was out there in the waiting room. And she goes, no, I mean, we got to do it now. And I was like,
Oh my.
I was very, very beside myself. And so that Tuesday, I'm at work and I knew I was going to be getting a call, but I figured it was to go into the doctor to get the results. Well, we had been playing phone tag with my physician, and this lady called and she worked with my aunt because she worked at my family practice doctor and goes, okay, I'm going back over your file. And I'm thinking she's just confirming insurance information, like to get in for my appointment. And she goes, carcinoma. And I said, what? And I just remember dropping to the floor and screaming, and
Mm.
my coworkers running in and coming to get me. And next thing I knew, I was at home. My mom had come to pick me up, and we got home and we just said, whatever it is, it is. The next day, I went to my surgeon, and she talked about how the double mastectomy was going to happen. It was imminent, but she goes, before we do all that, you have to have chemo. And I was like, okay, because they knew it was already stage 3. Well,
Oh.
you still have to do an MRI, you have to do your CTs, you have to do your bone scans, you have to find out and make sure it hasn't metastasized. So in the meantime of waiting for those results, we start getting a chemo plan together. Everything went out the door when we found out it was stage 4. because she goes, there's no protocol for your exact cancer. It's through your blood to your liver, very rare. There's not, particular drugs. So the first thing she said is, okay, we're going to have to get that chemo poured in. We're going to test your lymph nodes. They were clear, so that was a good
That's
thing.
good news.
But I'll never forget Dr. Tara Barnett at McClinton Cancer Center said, we're going to try. I'm sitting there with, we called it my entourage, my mom, my aunt, who is a nurse, and my best friend Carmen, who was going through nursing school at the time. I also think that's another God complex. Mm-hmm. And she goes, we're going to try. I don't know if you can survive this. I mean, what do you say to that? She was like, she goes to Tumor Wars, she goes to all these conferences, and she's like, okay, this is the plan of attack. This is what we're gonna try. And so the first treatment, I went in there all fancy and made my hair look pretty. I was like, okay, if my hair's gonna fall at least the first time, I'm a girl, I wanted to make it look pretty. I had makeup on, had matching PJs, and I said, I'm gonna make it glam chemo every single time. I'm gonna make this look cute, at least. And that was a joke on me, because the second round I started getting very, very ill. I ended up developing congestive heart failure because of the chemo.
Because the drugs are just so strong.
Because the drugs just destroy your heart. It was not a pre-existing condition. Mm-hmm. I developed arthritis. Oh. I had severe neuropathy in my hands and feet. There were many days I couldn't feel my hands and feet. Right. You get up to stand and you can't move.
Are my feet, are they going to hold me up?
Absolutely. Right. And then the third round, I got really, really sick. That was around Thanksgiving, I remember. I don't remember even seeing my family. I just remember being sick, because days later I ended up in the hospital. And this was 2019, before COVID. Mm-hmm. But really what they think now is it probably was COVID. I was on a nebulizer.
Interesting.
And one of my dear best friends, Dr. Barry Sheff, a hospitalist there, he came, I'll never forget, in my room. And I was really spiraling mentally and physically at that point. And he goes, you're going to have to wake up and get with it, or you will die. Mentally and physically. Like mentally, I was going to a trainer. D1 had sponsored me. They were great. Mm-hmm. But I mentally I went crazy. We found a med that was actually making me go like mental. And even some friends had to plan an intervention. I don't remember it. But one of my dear friends at the time planned an intervention and just said, mentally, we've got to get you back on, because your mental battles just as much as your physical battle during that.
It's a huge part of your physical recovery.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that was during my 5th treatment. And then the 6th treatment, we had to hold off because my blood pressure was plummeting out. I couldn't walk. I was really, really weak.
Alison.
And so then we got it better. That was around my birthday. Let's see, that would have been my 39th birthday. And that next month I had Mardi Gras ball. And 2 days after Mardi Gras ball, I had a double mastectomy. I was in the hospital for 5 days. They kept me a day longer just because I had never had major surgery like that. And so my body was not receiving it real well.
And you'd kind of been through a lot up to that point.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
And Baylor Scott and Hillcrest took great care of me. They were wonderful. Dr. Robin Screen was my surgeon. Love her. I mean, we invited them to Mardi Gras ball as my family's guest, because her and her nurses just meant so much to me. I got out of the hospital and I was supposed to start radiation that April, and we ended up, because you have to let your body heal from double mastectomy, and you have drains, and you have to learn to walk again. You have to have your balance back, because you're missing a significant portion of your body. Mm-hmm. Plus I was very weak. I mean, my muscles were shot. Yeah. My mom said sometimes it would take me 30 minutes to eat a cracker.
Really?
That's hard to, My mom said, my mom was my lifeline. She came in.
And it had to have been so hard for her to watch.
She checked on me all the time, and I went through a phase too where I never wanted to be alone. I was always afraid that someone would wake up and see me. I mean, they would come home or come see me, and I would be dead on the floor because I lived by myself. I was alone. Mm-hmm. And so my mom and my aunts and my friends rotated. I even stayed with my parents some. But long story short, when I started radiation, that's when COVID came. Like
Oh my
I was
gosh.
able to get my mastectomy right before all that hit, and I had 33 rounds of radiation, and that was another one to battle. And I thought, okay, well, I'm good. What are we going to do for maintenance? Well, the maintenance drugs they planned to have me on was just making my heart rate go to 33%. And if you know, your blood pumping function should never be that low.
Mm-mm.
And so it was a lot of trial and error with different doctors. I have many specialists. I have teams at MD Anderson. I have Baylor Scott and White. I have Ascension Group. And then I used to go to Dallas and no longer have to do that. I have a Woodlands group. So I always call, like, I always used to joke that I was like one of a kind and proud of it. Well, I guess joke's on me. So I'm still in treatment. I'll have it for life. I'll never be able to have children. They have me in menopause for it. I understand that. They have to give me a monthly injection. Um, I still haven't had reconstruction. It's a work in progress because the heart is finally behaving itself. We are
That's
so
good.
happy, down 73 pounds, and the weather, I mean, the body's starting to, adapt more to the drugs. And I just take 9
Mm-hmm.
daily meds. I take an injection weekly to combat diabetes that I developed, but I lost some weight, so that was good. And then I take a monthly injection, and my lovely best friend gets to give it to me sometimes. It's a 6-gauge needle that every nurse hates, and I'm just used to it
That
by
means
now.
it's big.
Oh, it's
Oh
huge.
my
The first
gosh.
time I had it, the nurse goes, "This is not fun." I said, "Not helping." Because I got to know all my nurses at Baylor Scott and White, and they would laugh. And poor Dorothy was like, "I don't want to give this." I was like, "I don't
Oh,
want it either." But we just rotate different hips, and you're
oh.
sore. And they found a way for me to get it every month, and my side effects have been a lot less
Mm-hmm.
worse than every 3 months I would normally have it, and I would be sick for days. So I have more days than better. I mean, I just had COVID for the 7th time. That's not fun. I get things
Yeah.
easily, but you know what? I'm here. Like
I know
I cannot believe I'm still
because
here. 6 years.
metastatic breast cancer, there are so many, there are different kinds.
Yes.
And when did you learn that was what your kind was that you
Less
had?
than 30 days after the original diagnosis.
Okay.
Because they have to do the MRIs and the CAT scans and the bone scans, and they have to test your lymph nodes. That's when they determined it had moved. And through my blood to my liver, it's not liver cancer, it's breast cancer on the liver. But
Okay.
it can move to your bones. I have bone scans every year. It can move to your brain. Luckily, have not had to have a brain MRI. We did have a scare, but that turned out to be not shouldn't have been a scare. And I know pancreatic and ovarian, are very prominent. You have to watch those. That's why I think it's an estrogen fed
Mm-hmm.
cancer. I'm triple positive. So it's all the hormones, which it could be in our food, it can be in our skincare, it can be in anything. So there's no
Yeah.
telling where I got it. It's not hereditary with me. I tested negative for BRCA.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I just scrubbed for a spray tan, and I just think back to, it was a good thing I was real vain during then, because
Yeah, because
I wouldn't have found it.
you might not have
No,
found it.
I firmly
Gosh,
believe.
there's so much more I want to talk to you about. We're going to
Absolutely.
take a quick break. When we come back, I want to hear, how you cope with, the ups and downs in a treatment as radical as this has been. So,
Yep.
Allison, you stay with us. There's more of the show ahead. Today's show is brought to you by Fox and Co. Bakery. We bake foxy things. Stay with us. A big thank you to our sponsor, Fox and Co. Bakery. Check them out for delicious baked goods and your catering needs.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top quality equipment. Golf Partner.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
And welcome back to the show. Alison Sorley is here with me. This is Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day.
Yes, ma'am.
And she is a 6-year survivor.
Absolutely.
And, I've kind of been walking along with you this whole time because you have on your Facebook page, on your social media, been very open about your journey.
So when I was diagnosed, I went back to a devotional that my best friend at the time got me for a birthday, and I hadn't actually read it yet. It was called 365 Days to Be Brave. And I think God put that in my life for a reason, because I looked at that book and every day was a scripture and it was a devotion and it was just a meaning. And it said, this is going to be the hardest year of your life. So I started from day one and I thought, you know what? You keep seeing people write all these blogs and these books and they're so open, but they're always celebrities. It's not your everyday person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write from day one. I let my family know. I said, I'm going to start on Instagram. It's called My Open Cancer Story. It'll link to my Facebook. And I said, there's no telling what my journey's going to lead, but I'm going to be raw and gritty. And there are videos, and I keep it honestly as a personal diary to me, because I go back and I get memories of I cannot recall a lot of years of my life. I can't recall a lot of. There were days I was late, 15 hours exhausted. And so it's a great way for me to show I did it. And when I'm having a bad day, like battling COVID for the 7th time,
Bless your
I
heart.
can look back and go, okay, there was a time when I was really bald, really frail. I couldn't eat. I couldn't, barely talk. I mean, I was just really in a bad spot. And so my Open Cancer Story, I did video entries, I did journals, I did pictures with like collages. I was very, very open to the point where I shared about my mental struggles, my weight struggles up and down, my blood pressure. I mean, it was just, my goal is to turn it into a book. My goal, I've already started the wheels turning. I want to start reaching out to more and more people, but I would love to do my Open Cancer Story to a book, and part of the proceeds go to Medivivor, which is Metastatic Breast Cancer Movement, and BCRF, which is the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And then quite honestly, financially, it would help me because I have about, on average, about $25,000 a year right now, even after insurance in medical bills. I always say, like, I need like another side gig. A friend of mine keeps telling me like I should maybe get on to TikTok and do all that. And I've thought about it. I'm not sure. I feel like that's opening me up to even more people, because there are people that judge. That has been interesting. Really surprising.
Well, everybody's got an opinion.
Oh,
but,
yes.
But from my standpoint, and being able to kind of walk with you, on the sidelines, but I know there are people that you have helped by sharing your story so openly.
People have,
and that's got to be part of your therapy as well.
Oh, absolutely. Women and some men, women reached out and said, I got my mammogram because of you.
Yeah.
And I used to think that was painful. What are they talking about? Or I got my ultrasound, or, you know what? I looked at my kids today and said, they might make me upset, but you know what? They're here in front of me. Like, they're going to be their little temperamental selves, but it just made people reflect on their own life. I had a lot of prayer, heroes. I firmly believe in the power of prayer, and people would say, I'm praying for you today, and I would text back because I would get so many messages and then DMs, and I just loved them. And I said, I'm not going to respond to them, but know when I heart it, that means I read it. So I can go back and keep things. But I just, you feel the love, you feel the support. Yes, there is a negative to it where people are like, I had somebody literally tell me, all you do is complain about your life. And I said, it's not complaining. It's just sharing what's going on in my life, and you never know what's going to happen to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do it so much for me as I do it for others.
Okay. Well, just on a personal note, we were scheduled to do this interview
Yes,
a
ma'am.
week or so ago, and I saw it, and you were kind of, I could tell you were lying in bed, and you just looked like you felt horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, "I'm supposed to go be interviewed on Ann Harder's show," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, you need to get to feeling better." And then you texted me and said, "I
Yes.
really have tested positive for it." I said, "Well, you take care of you, and we'll come up with another time, and it'll be the right time for
And you
us to
hate to
do this." But
disappointment
I,
people.
well, but but to see to again to that's how I found out. I went, "Oh, she didn't feel good, so let's not.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to push this at all." So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see that.
Yes.
But you say things come along, viruses and so forth,
Oh,
that it does hit you a little harder.
it does. Even though my doctors tell me my immune system's good, it's
Good.
not great because unfortunately you just catch everything. People will say, friends will say, family, like, where did you get it? I'm like, I don't know. I
Who
went to the
knows?
grocery
Yeah,
store. I went
yeah.
to Target. I went to
Really?
work.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing is, like, that's the miracle of prayers, great doctors, great friends, and mental health. Like, I still take anxiety med, I still take depression meds, and I have to remember, like, you got to push through. Like, yeah, I videoed that, but I'm like, okay, today hair fell out and a lot of hair, and then I lost my eyebrows during COVID a little bit. But it's like, you know what? I'm here. Like,
That's right.
we're gonna roll with the punches. And this weekend, guess what? I feel good enough. I'm gonna go see my doctor, and then I'm also gonna see my niece and nephew play sports.
Oh,
I didn't get to do
good.
that. They grew up. They're about, let's see, 8, 6, 4, and 9, and they didn't get to know Aunt Allison for the longest time when she was so sick. It was a lot of FaceTimes and it was visits here and there. But like, I'm so excited to like go sit and sweat in Houston and watch them play soccer and
cheer them
football and
on. Yeah,
baseball and go colors and build Legos. And that's the
yeah.
thing is like, I'm not going to be able to have children, which has been very hard. But then I think I'm going to be an amazing aunt.
That's
And so
right.
I'm that annoying aunt that like FaceTimes 3 days a week and sometimes even just sends them a video like, hey, Aunt Allison was silly today, or you want to see this? Or my niece in Austin, she's so funny. She go, Aunt Allison, it looks kind of messy in your house. I'm like, that's called laundry.
That's right.
Like, I don't have a laundry room. I use my kitchen table. So they bring so much joy to my life.
I know, and I know
So
you do the same for them. What do you wish people understood, maybe about metastatic breast cancer that they don't?
You'll never hear the word survivor. A lot of people say, oh, you're in remission. You're a survivor. I'm like, what is actually called a thriver? Means I'm thriving, means I'm going to be always under treatment. I'm always going to have it. It's just right now I'm showing NED, which is no evidence of disease, which is an amazing thing. But that means that also the cancer cells are so small that they're not picking them up in the scans. So we have to treat it openly. But like I said, I can't take the Herceptin and Perjeta that was supposed to be my protocol for every 3 weeks for life. It was making my heart just plummet.
Not good for you. Yeah.
And so my doctor said, okay, we're going to try all these daily meds. We're going to put your body in menopause, and this is what we're going to do. And every time I go in, my doctors at MD Anderson, my doctors here in Waco say, you are a walking medical miracle. We do not understand how you're here, because she would tell us, my mom goes to all my appointments with me. And she would say, you're supposed to be taking these injections and you're not. Like, you are our discussion. Like, you amaze me every time. Like, when I go to MD, she says I'm part of this small group that if a trial does come about, but she goes, I really don't want to introduce you to a trial until I start seeing a decline. And right now you've just been stable. Your scans are stable. Yeah.
You
So
are
yeah, I'm going to be 45 in January. It's like, okay, what can we do to celebrate? I'm really big on birthdays. I love it. I always that's the one day you can say, yeah, it's all about me. I want to say it's all about life. And let's just celebrate it together. Like, I have a bucket list of trips I hope to do on. And, I would love to do some speaking engagements. I did do, when I was a Cattle Barons honorary chair years ago, I got to do an interview with KDTX, and I just think it's so neat to go back and watch that and say, that was 3 years ago, or that was 4 years ago, or, oh, that video was a year ago. I mean, I think it would be so neat to empower not only women, but children and families and even seniors. I live in a patio home community, and probably I'm the youngest one, but I love it. And I have like all these little grandmas and grandpas, and they're
Oh,
always
yeah.
checking in on me and getting my trash can when I can't get it because it's down at the like far at the curb area, and I can't move. There are some days I wake up and I cannot feel my feet.
Right.
Still,
So
which
the
is so
neuropathy is
crazy.
still an
It's
issue.
residual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't been as bad, but there are days like I'll be sitting on the couch for a long time watching a movie like who doesn't love your Hallmarks? And I was like, oh, I need to almost like crawl to get up. And then I do it. But then there's sometimes I can pop up and I'm running around with the kids and picking up my niece and nephew and chasing them, around at Western Bell Farm, and they love to go to the Cameron Park Zoo and the Mayborn and stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? We're going to have good days and bad days, but I have to listen to my body. And if I wake up in the morning, it's not going to be a good day. It's not. I'm just going to stay at home on the computer. I'm working. I let my boss know what's going on. If I have engagements planned, I do apologize. And that has, quite honestly, been hard because Glenda Strum used to tease me and say, when do you sleep? I was like, well, I'll sleep when I'm dead, because I would always go, go, go before all this. And now I've had to learn the word no. That's hard. I was very involved in the nonprofit world before I went in professionally, and I chaired many events and, served on a lot of committees, and I just loved helping make our town better. I love Waco. I've only been away from it for 2 years during college, finishing college in Austin for a job, and that was it. But I just love our town, and I just love inspiring people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I like speech in high school and
You
didn't
say
like the
yes.
math.
Well, you do inspire people. We have a mutual friend in Jessica Attas.
Yes, ma'am.
And coming up a little later in the show, you're going to be hearing her story. But she reached out to you when she was diagnosed.
Yeah, we were texted a little bit. I had heard from a mutual friend. Some people are very private about it. I've had some people reach out to me that I had no idea had battled cancer, and they said, please don't share it with anybody. That's my own private
Oh, really?
choice,
Yeah.
and I totally respect that. And I knew, with Prosper Waco, she is so busy. She's a busy mom, and just I told her, I said, you just got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm always here. And, I feel like also too, I told her, I said, this is when you learn your people. I said, you will have a group of people that are there in the beginning because they just want that's their love language. They want to help nonstop. But when you get better, which is like in my instance, I'm on maintenance, I guess or whatever. I did have some people kind of drop out and stuff. You lose some friends because you can't say yes to everything. You can't be as social as you used to, which, stinks. But like I told her, I said, you're stronger than you know. And I said, please let me know if you need anything. And when she became more vocal about it, I mean, it was just amazing how many DMs like, oh my gosh, did you know? And I'm just like, it's not my business, number one. Number two is like, if she wants to share, she wants to share. So Jessica, I love you, girlie. You're awesome.
Well, I know all our viewers are going to love her as well because her story is coming up. But
Awesome.
first of all, before we wrap up, Allison, how could people help maybe support the work in research and so forth?
So Breast Cancer Research Foundation is wonderful, BCRF. It is dedicated to the research out there. There's the Mediviver movement. Actually, they have a walk in DC that I would like to go to next year. I think it would be amazing to walk, and that'd be my 7th year. And I think that would just be amazing celebration. So if anybody wants to go, let's plan a girls trip and go do our walk and celebrate. There's American Cancer Society, of course. They're a great outlet. You've got Susan G. Komen. But I think what's neat is now you can do registries through Amazon, Walmart, and Target through friends. And your friends can set it up, or you can ship it directly and help your friends. Like you can send them gift cards for Visa for gas or medical. You can send them warm blankets. I love a cozy blanket. You want lounge clothes. You want soft, slippers and things. And I think that's so meaningful. You can send them devotionals. You can send them. I had somebody send me like skincare and stuff. So I just think that's really neat. I've seen some things. I would like I said, to turn it into a book and learn about more resources because I'm sure they're out there. Clea Scherer just wrote a fabulous new book that I'm starting tomorrow. And she found a home edit. and she's had a breast cancer battle, and she's
Yeah, I
had
remember I watched them. Yeah.
11 surgeries. Like, I can't
Oh,
imagine.
wow.
And she talks about the different
Mm-hmm.
surgeries and things. And I just think it's neat because you're seeing more and more people come together. And she's even
Mm-hmm.
messaged me. Like, I've messaged
Oh, that's
her,
cool. Yeah.
and I'm like, can I please meet you one day? Because it's not that she's a celebrity. I think it's cool,
Yeah.
but she's been so open about her
Yeah.
journey.
And
And
I
I
think
think
that's
that is
great.
just neat. And
Yeah.
in Waco, I love to put together a group of ladies that if you would like to maybe meet once a quarter, and we can just have a nice meal and good conversation, and either you can just celebrate your wins, or we can support each other in grief, or in times of need. I just think there's so many things on my bucket list, and I just think it's like 6 years. I'm here for a reason, and we're just going to keep on celebrating. Hopefully surgery will be in January so I can get the reconstruction and feel like a lady again.
Yeah.
That's another struggle, but like I said, just
Well,
really
so
happy and blessed to be here to do anything
I
like
know.
this.
I'm just thrilled that we were able to do this, and it's a to be continued kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
So
And I'm
yeah, I
one
want to
that
visit with you more in the days ahead.
absolutely, we can always talk about heart disease, unfortunately, arthritis and diabetes. I was like,
Yeah.
you can't just get one, you got to get like 4.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, here we are. Here we are. Well, you're managing it beautifully, and
Thank
you
you.
are truly an inspiration, Allison. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having
And
me.
I know you're going to enjoy hearing Jessica's story. That's coming up right after the break. So stay with us. There's more of the show ahead.
At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi.
Send money abroad in just a few with Remitly. Swipe with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Welcome back to the show. We are in October, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'm so honored to have Jessica Attas here with me today to talk about her story. You had a little experience, or a big experience.
Yeah, I sure did, Ann. Thank you. It was, so last year in 2024, I have always done my annual mammograms. My mom had early breast cancer, so I've been having those since I was 35, I think. And I was, it was actually the festival on the Brazos weekend. My son was participating, and it was a Saturday morning, and I was, adjusting my sports bra to go to Cameron Park real quick that morning, and I felt a little lump, and I had had numerous irregular mammograms before over the course of my life. They say that dense tissue, and so I have that dense tissue. So, and this really felt pretty different. So I. With my mom having had breast cancer at a young age.
She was young.
She was young. So I was in the doctor's office on Monday morning, had a fun festival. And, I remember waiting to get that, it was the end of the school year. So it was, all of the fun activities. And I remember just really feeling like this felt pretty different than any other occasion. And so I got I got the call, I guess, on Friday evening, and I actually remember I reached out.
So you went to the doctor on Monday.
Yes.
And then I had to wait
So
till Friday to.
I went to, it was kind of a process. I went to the doctor on Monday. I had to go to a family practice doctor.
Right.
He then sent me to the breast health center at Providence at Ascension. So I was there on Thursday. Then I went back in on Monday for a biopsy because they said they needed to. They did a ultrasound and a mammogram,
Right.
and on that Friday, and then the following Monday did a biopsy, Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, in fact, and then that Friday was waiting for news, and they had told me that it would probably be 3 to 5 business days, and so
That's just interminable.
which is so. So I was, Friday
Yeah.
Friday afternoon, and I did reach out to my board member and friend Philip Patterson to see. I'm like, hey, it'd be really great to not have to wait all weekend. Like if the results are just sitting there on someone's desk, and so he was out of the office, but I got a call just a little bit later from the nurse there who told me that that they had that in fact it was breast cancer.
So there are a variety of kinds of breast cancer. What do you know? What?
Yeah.
yours
So
was?
yes, mine was I think stage 1B2. But it was not the triple negative. It was, we call it ERPR positive, so estrogen receptor, progesterone receptor positive, which means it's fueled by hormones. And so, I think of the kinds of breast cancer, if you've got to get a breast cancer, it's one of the ones that's, pretty easily treatable. So I feel really fortunate that, I had a couple of surgeries, and I still have to take a medicine that, and I feel I often have to take nausea medicine, but now I usually once a day. It used to be kind of nonstop, so my body is getting used to it.
Oh.
I'm probably a little more tired than I was, but my dad, and he teases me. He says, Jessica, even you less energy than you low energy is still running circles around
Exactly.
around us. But,
Exactly.
so,
Well, of course, you grew up in a medical family.
Yes.
Obviously, your dad a cardiologist, a retired cardiologist. So hearing that kind of diagnosis, though, it's still what were you
Yeah.
thinking, and knowing your mother's story?
Yeah, I will say it was. I can't believe I'm about to share this, but I'll say my son, who was a senior. So that was the weekend before Mother's Day and my birthday, and so he said he had turned 18, and he said, Mom, let's go get matching tattoos. He said, let's get an anchor because you're our anchor for our family, and God's our anchor who's going to keep us steady through this storm. And I, if you would have told me that, I would have been getting a tattoo in my late 40s, Ann. But cancer has a way of putting things in perspective.
Yeah.
That I thought, I felt so confident that I would be on the other side of this. But I thought, if not, then this will be meaningful to my son and to me, and who cares? So it was definitely a lot, but also I will say, and I know I was sharing this with you earlier, that I just felt such an awareness of God's presence and such just a sense of comfort and peace. And the community was, someone set up a meal train, and people were so generous and so kind. I'm not wearing pink. This was kind of a surprise. We were here to talk about prosperity dinner.
Right. We were recording about something else.
But this little pink water bottle, someone gave this to me in a care package then, and because it was, not too heavy, as you're recovering from surgery. So,
because,
you can't,
right,
you can't
probably lifting
Yeah,
things
you
is-
can't lift anything, and so this became my favorite little water bottle, and it still is. So
Well, you mentioned Prosper Waco, which you're the CEO of, and you just kind of gone to work there not too long before.
I had been there about a year,
and then to suddenly be like, oh, I'm going to be out of commission.
Yeah,
a
my
little bit. You were
board
thinking
was
not for very long.
I thought I'd be out a couple of weeks. I mean, I really was like, okay, I have my surgery on a Tuesday. I'll be out that rest of that week, maybe one more week, and then I will be back. And it was really not the case.
Yeah.
But my board was amazing and so supportive, and the team, our staff really stepped up, and we've got a great team of folks. So, the work continued. So it was really, if you want to know how not needed you are, be gone, because you see hey, everyone, which is also, that's what you want as
That's
a
what you
leader.
want,
You
yeah.
want to see that the wheels didn't come off, everything was great.
Yeah.
But I do want to share one thing, Anne, that is really, I think, is an encouragement, and it just is a reminder to women the importance of getting mammograms and of staying on top of that. So as I was waiting for after my surgery, they send kind of all of the tissue to pathology. And so the doctor called me back and he said, I'm sorry that this took longer than expected. He said, we were looking, they ended up having to take some skin. So I've got a nice little scar across my upper quadrant of my chest area, where they had to take some of the skin because it was just so the tumor was so close to the skin.
Oh, okay.
And he said, we were looking for breast cancer and to make sure the margins were clear. And they found melanoma in that little piece of skin. And if that's not God,
Oh,
I mean,
my.
like melanoma, my dear friend's dad died from melanoma
Yeah.
that went to his brain. And I had just had 4 biopsies, and one area that was precancerous removed on it. I'm fair skinned.
Right, got
So,
a red hair in your hair, and we're in Texas. I
so-
know.
And
I
that
check for that all
little
the time.
freckle was not on anyone's radar.
Wow.
And so, I don't want to say God gave me cancer. God gave me breast cancer to keep my melanoma, but I mean, I'm just what a blessing that they caught that melanoma as a result of my breast cancer surgery.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we're grateful for our medical professionals,
Yes.
that is for sure, but grateful that the Lord orchestrates things that we don't even understand.
Isn't that the
It
truth?
may be in heaven when we ask him, now,
That's right.
what was the reason for all that?
That's right.
So, but I do want to talk to you some more about the protocols that you decided, because I know there are different ways now
Mm-hmm.
that different breast cancers
Mm-hmm.
are attacked, if you will. So when you got the diagnosis, they said they needed to do a biopsy and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Did you do a chemo? Did you do? And you say you're still taking a medication now.
Yeah, I'm doing endocrine therapy, so I take tamoxifen
Okay,
every
yeah.
day.
I
but-
remember doing a lot of
yeah,
stories
yeah,
at the
yeah.
TV station about
So
tamoxifen.
I opted not to do a lumpectomy. I could have done a lumpectomy and radiation, and I decided to do a bilateral mastectomy because I really, I have kids, and I really wanted to minimize, with the lumpectomy you can treat it, but then you still have you have breast tissue, and you're in a heightened risk of recurrence. And so I decided that I really wanted to not have to worry about breast cancer again.
Peace of
And
mind.
So, yeah. So I think everyone has to make the decision that's right for them. I have a
Yeah.
friend who I respect tremendously, who did lumpectomy and radiation, and that was the right thing for her. I'm very glad that I went the bilateral mastectomy route. So I had my first surgery in July. I had another surgery in November, and then
that was of 24.
Of 24, yes, ma'am. Yeah, and then I'll have to take this medicine for 5 years, and but we're. If I go to Texas Oncology, and I'm now up to every 4 months, and so it's also, if you just want to, again, for me with this kind of cancer, and I still feel, I feel now, I can see that I'm not 100%, but really feel so healthy and so much to be grateful for, and to go into Texas Oncology, I just feel just a lot of gratitude, and I don't know, just an awareness of how God has carried me through all of this. So
Yeah. More I want to talk to you about, though. We're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
And when we come back, I want to learn some more about Jessica's journey here and her words of advice to the rest of us. So stay with us. There is more of the show ahead. Today's show is brought to you by Gather & Co., where they are transforming houses into homes. Stay with us.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today. At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
If your home's feeling a bit dated or you're dreaming of that beautiful outdoor oasis, I have got the team for you. Gather & Co., the family-owned remodeling pros right here in Greater Waco since 1998. Led by the Falconberry family, they specialize in stunning kitchen and bathroom makeovers. Think custom walk-in showers, sleek cabinetry, and aging-in-place upgrades for easy living. They also nail outdoor spaces with pergolas, patio covers, sunrooms, and screen rooms that turn your backyard into a year-round retreat. What sets them apart? Personalized designs, top-notch craftsmanship, and a hassle-free process for free in-home consultations to spot-on completion, plus financing options to make it simple. Customers love them, raving about the friendly crew and attention to every detail. Ready to gather in your dream home? Call Gather & Co. today, 254-759-1147 for a no-obligation quote. Visit GatherCoRemodeling.com. Your remodel starts here.
Historic Waco Foundation is presenting the Cotton King's Demise at Pape Event Center on October 10th and 11th. This 1890s murder mystery event is the perfect way to kick off spooky season with an evening of music, free drinks, light bites, and crime solving. You can purchase a ticket, wear your best 1890s outfit, and join Historic Waco Foundation for the Cotton King's Demise. Cultivate Waco is hosting their artisan market at 421 South 11th Street on October 11th. From 4 to 7 p.m., you can check out coffee, baked goods, jewelry, candles, plants, fresh produce, craft supplies, stationery, upcycled fashion, and so much more, all in one place. It's going to be a fantastic night of local creativity, community, and connection that you don't want to miss. Finally, the Texas Renaissance Festival is moving forward with its 51st season. Organizers expect over 500,000 visitors to attend the 8-week autumnal festival, which begins Saturday, October 11th, and runs through November 30th. The festival promises new attractions alongside some returning favorites, so be sure to check out the Texas Renaissance Festival this year. I'm Elizabeth Riley with your Act Locally Waco News, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome back to the show, talking with Jessica Attas about her journey with cancer, breast cancer. We are in Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you've already made your pitch. You know, ladies, get the mammogram. You know, do the self exams, all the things that we've always heard.
That's right.
About that. But you know, gentlemen get breast cancer too.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and I think the lesson is to be responsive, to respond swiftly if you feel something that's different. I felt it as I was changing clothes to go to Cameron Park.
It was just kind of not anything you'd noticed before, and you couldn't see it. It was something you felt.
I couldn't see it, but it felt like a little pebble. It felt like a hard, uncooked bean, and I'd had other knots or times that I had felt lumps, but this really felt so different. That I that was on a Saturday, and I was in the doctor's office on Monday morning, and that kind of started what ended up being about 2 weeks to kind of do all the steps to get to a diagnosis. But, I think it's easy, especially for women and also for men, to put off our health. And you think like, oh, that's just like, oh, let's see what happens. That's something that'll work itself out, or, but just to listen to your body. And, you know, it is funny. I actually have laughed that the year leading up to it, I was just a lot more tired than normal. And
Oh,
again,
really?
I'm pretty high energy.
Yeah,
and
you
so,
are.
So I just remember like I started going to bed earlier, and I was like, well,
This is different.
it's different, but I was chairing a big conference that was in Houston, and I was, you know, was in Prosper Waco and starting that, you know, my journey there. So I was like, well, I've got a lot going on. And then in hindsight, I was like, oh, no, my body was fighting, you know, really trying to fight cancer. So
Yeah. I mean,
where's
you
you at?
you have to look at it that way. So, when you were going through all this, did you have the help of a nurse navigator? I mean, I hear about that as part of a breast cancer treatment
yes,
protocol.
absolutely. There was a wonderful nurse navigator there at the Breast Health Center at Providence Ascension. She was lovely, you know, and so she really helped me evaluate, you know, their choices. One thing that's really hard that surprised me in was that I think that we tend to look to medical experts for like an advice and a decision of like, you know, I'm very data driven. We were talking about my work and
Yes,
like
right.
you
That's
know,
what Prosper Waco is all about.
right. It's like
Yeah.
I want data so I can make the informed decision and what's the best thing, and I
Sure.
want to evaluate and I want there to be like a right choice, you know. And
Right.
so
It will rise to the top
right,
and
and
be
this is what
clear.
you do. And
Yeah.
and with this, the doctors won't tell you, and the nurse navigator won't tell you.
Oh,
They're like,
no.
well, you can do this, or you can do this,
Oh,
or you
really?
could do this. And I'm like, but which one should I do?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's like whichever one's right for you medically. Like here,
Oh.
so that was an interesting
is
thing.
different.
Which I mean I understand, but I'm pleased with the choice and the level of care. I mean, you know, Providence is fantastic, and you know, so I felt very well supported and truly equipped with the information, both from, you know, on the Ascension side and pathology, and then Texas Oncology, to make the decision that was right for me.
Yeah, and of course, your mom, Gail, had walked that path too.
Yes, yeah, which is I think part, you know, why I was like, oh, had always been, you know, kind of on the lookout, and in fact, you know, I started seeing about 3 years before then some of the science that was just then emerging about the association with alcohol and breast cancer, and you know, and walking, the importance of walking, and so I had really mostly quit drinking. Wine. I'm like, I don't want to do anything that would increase my chances. So for
Right.
about 3 years prior,
Okay.
because I was like, I just don't want to, you know, and I
not
started
worth it.
walking. I'm like walking, you know, 4 to 6 miles a day. And so which also makes me feel better that I was like, okay, at least I don't think I brought this on myself. I was making a lot of good
You were
choices.
doing, yeah, everything you could
Doing-
you
that's
could
right,
do that
that's
you knew to
right,
do.
yeah.
Well, of course, you know, here we are in October, and you know, you can't miss the pink, you know, the breast cancer
Yes.
awareness, because it certainly has had the effect that everybody is aware of it, and just about everybody knows someone who's dealt with it in some form or fashion. But what is your advice to someone who's maybe just gotten that dreaded diagnosis?
Yeah. I mean, I would say lean on and talk with other women who have walked that before you. Also, everyone's journey is different. And so, you know, I talked to women who were angry, or I talked to women who chose different treatment options. And I think to say that, like, you don't have to feel any kind of, you know, like, I had people ask me, like, aren't you mad? And I didn't feel mad. I just felt like, you know, as a person of faith, I don't feel like we have a promise that we won't have hard times. Our promise is that God will be with us in those hard times, and that He will, you know, use them for our good. And so, you know, I think you're allowed to, but if you are angry, you're allowed to be angry. And if you're not, that's also okay, and you're allowed to be scared. I was surprised, you know, there is, as a single mom, I mean, there were times that, like, I thought, gosh, I really think I'm going to be fine, and it still is. That's still scary, you know. So, I would say, yeah, just allow yourself time to process, and allow yourself time to heal and to and rest. You know, I really, again, in hindsight, I was like, well, that explains why I've been so gosh darn tired. You know? So
yeah.
like you give yourself grace as you in the recovery, you know. And I would just say also if people are going through this with a loved one, you know, it was so meaningful to me to get little notes and messages. You know, Formella Beauty had a stack of like postcards, and women who came in would write me little notes of encouragement,
yeah,
and
wonderful,
you know,
wonderful,
just so lovely. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I mentioned, you know, someone dropped by this little this little water cup that was so sweet, and you know, one of the things that surprised me that maybe I shouldn't tell anyone because it's now my always go-to gift is someone gave me my own hospital robe that was so soft, and you're in the hospital for a couple days, and so all the hospital staff was admiring my soft robe afterwards.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah. That's
you
what
know,
a thoughtful
yeah. So
thing
just
that
I would
is.
say, you know, if you're walking through that with someone, love on people, and if you've received that diagnosis, let people love on you, because people want to help and they don't really know what they can do, and to some degree, you know, it's kind of your journey, but. So let the people who want to make you a meal or who want to help you, you know, bring in or out your trash cans or whatever it is, like I think so often it's hard for us to accept help, you know, and I feel like we all feel pretty self-sufficient and independent, and you know, we're doers, and but let people love on you. And
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it is
for them for sure.
Yes.
In fact, I interviewed a lady a long time ago who made little lap pads and just as little things, you know, quilted soft things, and she made it was a Velcro deal that went on the
seatbelt.
your seatbelt.
I love it.
And it was real soft and what. And
Yes.
she said, "Yeah, because it's very painful to
Yep.
have something across."
Yep. Yeah, I was so. I mean, I still have my little seatbelt thing in my my car, but
do you?
I had to use it. I mean, I've used it for 8 months.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I mean, with 2 surgeries, so I'm like, yeah, you can't drive comfortably. It's hard to get comfortable. And
Right.
Oh, the other thing I'll say is, like, you know, depending on what your surgery is, if you need new clothes, buy your new clothes.
Well, you said, you know, things fit a little bit. In fact, the question was, could you pick your size?
I went with, you know, it was a medical conversation. What can my frame support?
But you know, and it's wonderful. We can laugh, you know, you can laugh,
Yes.
and laughter
Yes.
does do good like a medicine.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
yeah, I'm sure, you know, there were many pretty tough days.
Yeah,
You know,
but through it
involved.
all, you know, I had a playlist that I called F Cancer, and I didn't write it out the F. I mean, it's just
Right,
as F,
no, I know
but
what you
it's
mean.
you know,
Yeah,
it was
we've all heard
all
it.
you know, so many praise and worship songs
Yeah.
of just God's faithfulness, and I still listen. You know, I listen. That particular playlist is really always helps me feel centered and grounded in the truth of God's provision and for us, and you know that we have a God who loves us, and that we're not alone in any of the hard times.
Yes. Well, this Liz, it's one of the hardest things anybody can be told is that they have a cancer diagnosis. But again, I'm always grateful for October to come around to give us a chance to kind of be refocused again on this particular type of cancer. All of them are bad. All of them are bad. But it's been a blessing for me to hear your story and to see how well you're doing, and your folks are doing well. So I'm glad.
You're so sweet. Thank you for shining a light on this, Andy.
Yeah,
It really
well,
is.
and so American Cancer Society, Community Cancer
Yes.
Association, all wonderful organizations that are, I know ACS is, you know, always doing research constantly. Community Cancer, though, I mean, they're kind of the boots on the ground.
Yes,
And they're
absolutely.
helping folks who.
Absolutely. And you know, and I'll say also, I mean, you know, the Providence Foundation, and you know, I mean, their team there at the Breast Health Center, and I should say I don't know Baylor Scott and White. But I have friends who got really high quality care at Baylor Scott and White.
Well, that's where I
also.
go for my mammogram.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I think that we've got lots of tremendous resources here, and it's just a great community. So you know, it's. You don't want to ever have to have that journey, but I'll tell you what, Ann, if there's a community where to walk through something difficult with, it's Waco, Texas, because our community will rally around each other in our times of need.
I know that's right. Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
Stay with us. There is more of the show ahead.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Shift had a body in his truck, he had yet to deal with Saul. Whoops.
This year marks 40 years of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Over the last 4 decades, something incredible happened. The breast cancer death rate in the United States dropped 44%. That progress isn't a coincidence. It happened through increased early detection, through advancements in treatment, through improved access to quality care, and through millions of people helping women now. At National Breast Cancer Foundation, every moment is an opportunity to help, and now is the most powerful moment we have. This October, you can help women get screened, navigate care, feel supported, find hope. Now. Helping women now means taking action today. What will you do with your now?